So this video is going to offer you a bit of an explanation for what we're working on as representing fractions as decimals and the other way around. So one of the important things to remember as we're starting this work is that your decimal point, everything to the left is a whole number. So like a whole banana. It's going to be the ugliest banana ever. So like a whole banana. And everything to the right of the decimal point is part of a banana. So like you're just getting that little bit of banana. So your decimal point, as we mentioned in class yesterday, we use the word and that's really important because that and is telling us mathematically, here are my whole numbers on this side, and on the right of the decimal point, these are my parts. And we know fractions are parts of a whole. So that's what we want to remember when we're working with our decimal numbers. You know a lot more about decimals than you would think you know. And tenths means 1/10 or 1/10. Hundredths would be 1/100 or 1/100th. How many hundredths do you have? And thousandths would look like this as a fraction, 1/1000th. Okay, so let's move on, and I just want to model some examples of what we're going to do. So this image here represents our whole, and that's really important to remember. So we're going to say this is my whole cracker, my whole granola bar, my whole $100. And we can represent this as a fraction. So we'll do it as a fraction of the shaded part. So if I look here, these are tenths because I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So as a fraction, my whole was divided into 10 equal parts, and one of those parts is shaded. To write it as a decimal number, we have no holes, right? Because this is one whole thing, and I'm not even getting all of it. So we would write 0 and 1/10, because this first space here is your 10th column. Let's look at the next one. There we go. So on our next slide, same thing. We're going to do the fraction and the decimal. Fraction and the decimal of the shaded part. So we'll count. These are still tenths, right? This is my whole, so that, let me erase that. This is my whole. We'll try it again. There we go. So here's my whole. It's one whole. Honestly, how many times can I try to draw this whole? And third time's a charm. This is one whole cracker. We count it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There are 10 total pieces. And I can see that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are shaded. So as a fraction, 5/10. As a decimal, no holes, and 5/10. What's important to note here is we go back and think of equivalent. If you look very carefully, you'll notice that 5/10 is the same as 1/2. So it's equivalent to both of these. Okay, let's go to our next slide and start looking at hundredths. So this is the same whole, but now instead of being divided into 10 equal pieces, we are divided into 100 equal pieces of our cracker. So let's start with our fraction. So we know it's 100 equal pieces. And I can look here and I can know, okay, I can count, but I also know that this is 10 and 10. So, but we'll just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I'm not even going to bother because I know if that one's 10, this is 10. So 10, 20. So it's 20 holes or 20 100ths, right? 20 little squares of the hole. Right now, I want you to write that as a decimal number. So take a moment. I'll just wait here, twiddling my thumbs, and you're going to write it as a decimal number. If you wrote 0 and 20 100ths, you would be correct. All right, let's try the next one. Still hundredths over here. We're still in hundredths land. Let's write it as the fraction. And let's write it as the decimal. So I can see I have 2 squares filled out of 100. As a decimal, I have no tenths, right? There's no group of tenths filled in. So there's a 0 in my tenths column, but I do have 2 hundredths. So that is how we would write 0 and 2 100ths. Now, you may be thinking, oh my gosh, are we going to go to a thousandth grid? And the answer is no. Thousandths grids start getting impractical for us. So let's just look here. They get impractical because the squares get so tiny to try to color. So these two are equivalent. This says 260 thousandths, and this also says 0 and 260 thousandths. Let's go to a new slide and just practice a few more. Here we go. So you're going to select the correct decimal in the question in just a moment. That's coming up on your Nearpod. So I'm going to write the fraction, and you are going to select the correct decimal when you're ready. All right, let's do another one. Here is my fraction. Now you're going to select the correct answer. Here is my fraction. And pause to select the answer. And another one. And select the correct way to represent that as a decimal. And bonus time, we're going to look at a few mixed numbers. So this means 3 wholes and 52 100ths. On your Nearpod, go select the correct answer for this, written as a decimal. And final one for our practice right now. 5 and 8 1,000ths. Okay, so that's all for today. We're just practicing a little bit of switching our fractions into looking like decimals, and I hope this video has helped you.